Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us out here today in this press conference. This has become an annual press conference for us in an operation. You know, we are coming upon honoring Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, a national holiday, an opportunity for so many of us in this country to recognize the great work he has done and afforded this country and going abroad. We all know his legacy. Where most of us are going to take an opportunity to perhaps tell a story to our kids, have a barbecue, maybe even participate in some type of parade and be compliant residents and citizens, we have a group that has elected to come out here under the premise of wheels up, guns down, and wreak havoc amongst this community. They do so by riding ATVs and vehicles in a reckless manner. They do it with knowledge and intent that their activities are unsanctioned and illegal, and they do so repeatedly with total disregard for this public safety. And that's where we draw the line in the sand. That is one of our core responsibilities, to protect this community, and we won't stand idly by. As you can see behind me, we have representation from pretty much every single Broward County and Miami-Dade organizations who take this responsibility on every single year. I'd like to thank them for joining me here today. I'd like to thank Major Chandler of FHP, who has been a strong partner with us in developing operations consistently on an annual basis, and also for the amount of foresight and efforts that have taken place over the last year, as we have recognized the importance to not just continue enforcing the laws that we have, but to strengthen the laws that are currently on the book. And Major Chandler is going to talk about what he's done working with Senator Lauren Book and what we have coming up in legislation related to Senate Bill 256, it's racing and motor vehicles, and to that accord. I also would have to take an opportunity to remind our community that we are there, we are out there. We see this going on. We have surveillance, we will have undercovers, we will have our aviation units from both BSO as well as FHP participating in this operation. And the strongest advisement that I could provide this community is, if you find yourself in traffic while these daredevils and reckless individuals are driving by, we want you to come to a halt. We want you to pull off to the side of the road and let us do our job. You may not see us, you may not hear us, but we are there. We are monitoring, we are tracking, we are strategically putting things together to make sure that we can take these individuals in custody safely without exposing you to any other or greater harm. With that, I'm going to turn this over for a moment to my partner, Major Chandler, to talk about FHP's participation and also highlight what I had already discussed briefly about what's going to be occurring in Tallahassee related to Senate Bill 258. Major?
The Florida Highway Patrol has partnered with the Broward Sheriff's Office now going on nearly 6 years of doing this event, as well as all the other municipal agencies in Broward and Miami-Dade counties. We think over the last 5-6 years we've made some definite progress. I think the groups of riders from other states, we've deterred them. We don't see that in the last couple years, people coming from all over down here thinking that this is a sanctioned ride or a sanctioned event. It's not. So we've made progress, but it's still an event that occurs every year, and that's why we're here today. The Florida Highway Patrol, every single trooper will be working on Monday in Broward, Miami-Dade, and even Palm Beach counties, along with the Broward Sheriff's Office and all the other local law enforcement agencies. As I say every year, it's illegal to operate ATVs and dirt bikes on the roadways, certainly not on the highways. To operate in a willful and wanton disregard, doing wheelies, driving the wrong way, driving on sidewalks, taking over intersections, besides being illegal, is extremely dangerous, not only for the riders, but for the law-abiding citizens just trying to go where they need to go. Flipping the tag up, doing wheelies, at least in Broward County, the citation is $1,165, so it's also expensive. We have vehicles that follow, not we, the motorcycle groups have vehicles that follow these groups, that film this activity, post it on social media, sponsoring this illegal activity. We also have these same vehicles carry fuel to refuel them. So how do we counteract all this activity as law enforcement here in Broward County, Miami-Dade County? Well, like the sheriff said, the helicopter will have undercover units, surveillance units. His helicopter will be up. The Florida Highway Patrol will have multiple aircraft in the air. One of them will actually be one of our planes that has surveillance capabilities with camera equipment, which was more than we had in the past. So what I say to the riders is that just because you don't see us doesn't mean we don't see you. When you stop, when you congregate, that's when law enforcement will move in and make its arrest. We're not going to get into pursuits and chasing motorcycles. That isn't what we do. But that doesn't mean you won't be subject to arrest. Expect traffic delays, as we all know, to the motoring public. Like the sheriff said, if you get surrounded by these groups, please do not interact with them. Let them pass by. Law enforcement is in the area. We're overhead. We're everywhere. There's too many. We will outnumber the riders, as we always do. One of the things I want to talk about that Sheriff mentioned was, I believe it was last year, Sheriff Tony and I spoke and said that, really it was Sheriff Tony's idea that said that, we need to come up with some stronger legislation. And so I approached Senator Lauren Book right here in District 32 in Broward County and came up with some legislation to amend the Florida Racing Statute 316-191. And she introduced House Bill 399 this year, which was, we also have a companion bill by Representative Anthony Rodriguez, District 118 in Miami. His bill is House Bill 399, excuse me. Also, besides those two bills, Senator Jason Pizzo in District 38 introduced Senate Bill 876. Basically, both bills prohibit specified acts, things that we've seen over the years occur in the last 5-6 years, not just here in South Florida, but really all over this country. The acts it's all related to something. It's defined differently in our bills, but it's either called a street takeover, an organized ride, or a takeover. But basically, it's to address the issue of organized riders, groups, coming together to disrupt traffic, to block traffic, to do their illegal activity, but put it in one statute. And what this does is it'll amend the statute as the racing statute, but it'll change it from just a traffic infraction, like I mentioned, about $1,165 fine. It'll change everything to where if you participate in these events, whether you're carrying fuel, whether you're blocking the roadway to prohibit lawful traffic, to do these illegal activities, drifting, burnouts, whatever activity they're doing, wheelies, and disrupting the traffic, basically what it'll do is it'll make it a crime. It'll make every single thing that they do in these events criminal in nature, no longer just a traffic infraction. That gives law enforcement a little bit more power. It also gives us the ability in the racing statute to impound vehicles to where they don't get them back. And so we're very appreciative of Senator Book, Representative Rodriguez, and Senator Jason Pizzo for this legislation, which, as you know, the legislative session started yesterday. So we're going to be closely following this. But law enforcement, just so you know, we did decide to do something about it, more than just do this press conference every year and talk about what we're doing, and nothing seems to change. The legislation really is the new part of this year. Obviously, if it passes, it's not going to take effect probably till July 1st, so it doesn't necessarily help us this year. But no, we're using the same tactics. And like I said, 5-6 years ago, the groups were much bigger. I mean, we made national news. They were taking over the streets of Miami, and we've done a great job here, the Sheriff's Office and FHP, of really keeping that at a minimum in Broward County. So I don't want to say our tactics. We haven't changed. We haven't changed what we do, whether the group last year was bigger or smaller. It actually was smaller last year than in previous years. Some of that may have been COVID related. I don't know. But we prepare the same way every year. So we get the same message out. We come together, as you can see behind me. There'll be so many aircraft in the air. There's no way the motorcyclers are going to get away from law enforcement. At some point, we're going to be in a position where we can safely make arrests and take bikes. And that's what we're going to do, as the sheriff already stated. There will be no warnings.